Guys, it's Cameron,
And Justice.
and today we're going to be talking about one of our favorite games of all time. It's called Bloodborne. Do you want to go ahead and get us started and explain what we're doing right now?
Sure. So here in the top left, you can see that we're filling out a contract for our character. That's how you begin a new save file and get going. In the contract, you can change the name of your character, your origin, and your appearance. Appearance is just outright appearance, doesn't really have much effect on gameplay. Your name will be seen by the friends you play with and the other random people that you encounter throughout your playthrough. And origin has a bunch of different stat options that you can start out your character with, which will affect gameplay, how much damage you do, how much damage you take, etc. So we're going to be starting with Lone Survivor here, and that's just because that's the one with the most vitality, which is your health points, and it's the safest bet for this playthrough.
So, right when we start the game, there's going to be a cutscene. Basically, this guy you're waking up to is telling you that he gave you this vaccine. Do you want to go ahead and explain what that's all about? We're just going to go ahead and skip the cutscene now.
Yeah,
Because we're just
all
gonna...
signed and sealed, and then he says something about a transfusion, which basically is just a blood transfusion that we got so that we would be immune to the plague or disease that's going around in this world, and that's the whole thing we're here to fight. We basically have to hunt down the people affected by this disease and kill them, because this disease does turn you into a werewolf, as you'll see in this next room right here.
And then we're gonna obviously find this werewolf right here, and then we're basically gonna die because we have no weapons yet.
Yeah, so as you can see, I hardly even affect him at all. So at this point, you're basically just meant to be killed by this big werewolf.
Correct.
It's supposed to scare you and show you how hard the game is. But then the first time you die, you actually end up going back to the Hunter's Dream, which is this little area that we're going to get a cutscene into. This is sort of a limbo type of area, partially between life and death, I'm not really sure, but basically there's a lot of weird stuff going on here. At first, when you come here, there's going to be this inanimate doll that just doesn't even move. Here's the cutscene I was talking about. And once you gain a stat in this game called Insight, one insight, the doll will come to life and she'll help you with your adventure.
And you can level up your stats through her after she wakes up. So that's what you spend your money you get on from defeating enemies and bosses and stuff like that. So there she is. For her to actually wake up, you have to defeat the first boss. So right here, what we're doing right now is we get a pick from one of these first three weapons. Where it looks like he's going to go with the saw cleaver. Then you pick a gun. I like the hunter's pistol. Yep. And then what else do you get? I forget. The notebook. Alright, so
the notebook is just an online item that you can use, and
then wait, we're going to explain this. So all these tombstones and stuff we're looking at are different areas of the game. So if he goes to that, click it, we're not going to be able to go anywhere through there. But if we go to the first one, we actually have it unlocked.
And that's marked by these little guys coming out of it right here.
So the further you get into the game and the more lamps that you'll find, those become checkpoints. And you can go to the checkpoints from the Hunter's Dream, which is where we just were. So
yeah, the Hunter's Dream is just kind of the big hub of the game.
So when he loads in, he's going to equip the weapons we just got for free. So there they are. Let's talk about the controls.
Yeah, so a big part of this game is parrying and also trick weapons. So parrying you can do by hitting the L2. It basically shoots your gun like that, but if you do it right when they're attacking, like that, I did a little too early there. Like, wow. Okay, I'm just gonna kill him because that was just too close. But basically, if you shoot an enemy with your pistol right as they're attacking, it'll leave them open for a strong attack to riposte them.
Yes. And that just shows you how hard this game actually is. It's very difficult. It's all about skill and timing. We haven't played for a while, so he just choked that, but we'll show you here in a bit. Let's talk about another control, which is left bumper.
Yeah, or the L1 on
Yeah,
PlayStation. So
tell them
that
what that
controls
does.
your trick weapon. As you can see right here, I have the saw cleaver, but if I press L1, it'll sort of open up, and that'll give me more range with the weapon and completely change all of my attacks. But if you leave it short, it's sort of a little flashy weapon. But yeah, when you open it up, it turns it into more of a spear.
So that's just a cool, unique thing that this game added that I haven't seen in another game. I don't know about you.
Yeah,
Really
not even
neat.
another From Software game.
Another thing I want to touch about on this game is the atmosphere. I really like the atmosphere and just the soundtrack. There's not any music playing right now, but like during a boss fight and stuff, there'll be like epic, like an orchestra playing, and just I really like it.
Yeah, it's got a very unique theme and just
Yeah, I
atmosphere
don't
to
even
it.
know what to call the theme of this game. It's very different. I
It's
wouldn't
sort of
say
like gothic.
gothic in a way, yeah. Dark.
Yeah.
Just a completely different looking universe. It's kind of medieval, but not really. Like, there's a lot of castles and stuff, but it's not really like knights. So we're gonna light the first lamp, and then that, if we wanted to, we could rest at that, and it'll take us back to the Hunter's Dream, where all of the levels are.
Yeah,
With
so
all
these are sort of the checkpoints of the games.
correct.
Throughout the game, you're also going to meet a bunch of different people.
You must be a hunter, and I'm Gilbert. You must have had a fine time. Well, I don't think I could stand if, but I'm willing to head. This time.
And this is basically just a big part of this game. Everyone's locked in their houses from this plague, from this disease. You'll meet a bunch of people who just won't let you in and will tell you how crazy you are for walking around at night. Because of these guys, who are all furry and hairy, and basically this plague, this disease, has affected everyone in some sort of way. You've either had to adjust and become immune, or you're half human, half werewolf, these guys, or you're full werewolf and you're the big bad one that we fought earlier in the game.
Yep, so let's talk about again the gameplay of this game and why it's so enjoyable. As you can see like that, I don't know if you can see his health bar, but he just took a big beating from that. It's all about timing, and if your timing is off, you can totally just get obliterated by these. These are considered easy enemies in the game. He just pulled off a parry, so see he'll get a big gain of damage from that. So, dodging is a big part of the gameplay. As you see, we'll do like a flip dodge, or just like a little quick movement to the left or the right to dodge attacks. Very helpful move to know. Let's go ahead and parry this guy and show it off again.
That was a grab attack. Yeah, that was just bad on my part, but
parry him?
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, this is sort of just a secret guy. These bigger guys in the game are
So there's the parry
very
right there.
useful for giving you blood vials, which is the healing item that you've been seeing me jab into myself there. And you'll see me pick them up a bunch too, but they're just all around this place, and this secret guy is just really helpful if you're ever needing some blood vials just to come kill him.
So we're going to try to shoot him right as he attacks, which Justice is currently struggling with right now, but it's been a while since we played. There it is, right there.
Yeah, I did that earlier, but just didn't manage to grab the repost.
So we took...
Another big part of these games is shortcuts. There's one-sided paths and levers that you can access. And that's just a common theme in all From Software games. Wow. It's got so much armor.
Yeah,
which is why
this is a tough enemy.
Yeah, which is why those
Oh, you kill off the other spear you got.
The other spear?
Just like flip it.
Oh, this.
Yeah, because you need more range with this guy.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah.
There we go. So those were the blood vials I was mentioning. It's only really worth it if you can fight them without using more than what you gain.
Yeah, so we kind of failed in that department, but there's going to be a lot of enemies over here. Another thing I want to talk about is level design, which you just tried to touch on while you're fighting that guy.
Yeah, here's another really good level design part, since you just mentioned that. That item right there is just out in the open. It's meant to entice you, and if you run up to it and grab it, that guy actually ambushes you from the shadows.
That did scare me the first time I played the game, so yeah, I like that part. But just
here's another one right there.
The level design of this part of the game in particular, it really just sends you into the world of Bloodborne and shows you what this disease really did to these people, and just they're really savage right now, like just savages. And
just reduced to their primal instincts.
Exactly.
Honestly.
Really hard area, lots of people. I don't really like this area because I struggle in it a lot.
Yeah, so there's these guys who somehow have determined that they're different than the regular werewolves, but I guess the regular werewolves are just so out of it that they just can't even tell who's who anymore. But that's another giant werewolf hanging from that burning pyre in the middle. But for some reason they realize that we're different from them, probably because we're not covered in fur, but they do not like us, and since they probably are just witnessing us defend ourselves, they probably have even more reason to attack us after we kill their friends.
I don't know if this is a good time to touch on this, because I don't want to distract Justice, because it's kind of a hard part of the game, but the reason, I just wanted to touch on the reason we're even doing this is because of our passion for video games. That's kind of honestly how me and Justice became friends, was through video games, so that's just another thing video games can do for you. It brings people together who wouldn't have other things in common, so it's just really cool community. It's a great thing to do with your friends, so much fun. It's another thing about this game is you can play this with your friends. You can fight your friends online or help your friend if they're struggling with the game. Has lots of entertainment value. I put tons of hours into this game, and so has Justice. We played the game.
Yeah, definitely more than seems acceptable.
Yeah. Just playing the game, doing different builds, using different weapons, and upgrading different stats can totally just change the whole experience of the game as a whole. So,
yeah, that's definitely a big part of most From Software games, is that, like I showed you with the origin of your character's stats in these games, there's so many options and so many different ways to go about everything that you're just handed to all at once, and there's just so much opportunity.
Correct.
So, as you might have seen, when I was here and grabbed that item in front of those doors, they were jiggling and banging, and that's because on the other side of these doors over here,
there's actually a huge, we fought one of those earlier, didn't we? That's what you almost died to.
Yeah, well, that guy was in executioner armor and had a big giant axe. This guy's a little less intense. Yeah. He's just sort of a construction worker, I think, or a builder or something like that, but he just has a brick in his hand, and he's a lot easier to predict.
Yeah, very easy with this guy.
And like that other guy, these bigger guys all tend to drop a decent amount of blood vials, so if we get lucky here... Yeah.
That's what you heal with.
So let's see what he gave us. Yep, blood vials. They just tend to do that pretty often. We're about to, well, not yet, but we're in the area of a memorable character, the little girl, who actually is a pretty impactful first NPC to just meet in this game. Other than that guy I talked to earlier, there's... Here, I'll talk to these guys over here. I know of a window you can knock on. This one right here. See how there's some light and that lamp coming out from under here? You can give it a little knock.
I don't reckon you're from round here. Well, stuck outside on a night of the hunt. Oh, you poor thing.
Yeah, so see, they don't really take you seriously, they don't let you in.
Yeah, and I just want to touch on that. The characters are, it's very cool how you could literally play the game, not find any of these like hidden characters that are hidden away or references, and not know much about the story at all. You kind of have to discover that stuff by yourself and kind of put the story together in your head as you're playing, like what is going on in this world, because they don't really explain too much. You're kind of just thrown into it all. Really interesting. Very crazy the first time you're playing it. Very confusing, but it's cool once you get going. I also want to talk about the graphics. This game was made in 2015, which is 6 years ago now. Crazy, but I think they hold up pretty well FromSoft, the developer of this game, has made a lot better looking games. They just came out with a new remaster called Demon Souls that is probably the best looking game I've ever seen. But I can't tell if it's just the nostalgia factor, how much I love this game, if the graphics still hold up in reality, but I think they look pretty good. What do you think, Justice?
I think they do have
Sometimes.
a very nice, yeah, no problem. There's just a very just reminiscent vibe about the entire game, and just seeing it definitely doesn't come across as a harsher.
Let's talk about the shortcut you just opened up. So we just went all the way around the map, and now we open this gate from this side. So, yep, we're back here.
This is the ladder we originally came up.
Yep.
That's the clinic we woke up in. Came up here, and then we went to the right here. We've actually went all the way around
the map.
Yep.
So now we have the shortcut open, so we can just go straight from the lamp where we spawn when we die and go this way, which is progression. Speaking on the graphics, there definitely is some moments in the game where the graphics don't hold up too well, but that's just obviously going to happen with age. But I think for the most part, definitely still hold up. Don't have a problem with the graphics. The thing I do have a problem with is the frame rate, which if you're not into video games or know too much about that stuff, it's kind of hard to explain, but I'm sure you can see what I'm talking about in the recording. It just looks super choppy sometimes when there's a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, you can see Justice moving left and right. It looks very choppy. That's because when this game was made, the PlayStation it was made for couldn't run over 30 FPS. Now I'm used to 120 frames per second, so that's just a big hit. And when I go back to this game, I really notice it. Wish that I could play higher frame rate, especially in a game where all that matters is timing and precision, and just skill. So, yeah, that's like my one narc on the game. We're gonna go ahead and talk to this NPC now.
So she basically is just asking for any safe places, which we can send her to later. This is one of the people in the houses you actually interact with, so yeah, we don't, and yeah, she basically just gets upset. It's just a cranky old lady, but I mean, you can't really blame her. There's an apocalypse happening, so.
Yeah, I wouldn't let people in too, especially looking at this, all covered in blood.
Yeah, these guys are a bit harder, and you're going to see them around pretty often. They're sort of a mix in between. The people get along with these ones, but they're just like bigger versions of the people, basically.
Yeah, I don't even know what those are, to be honest. Like why they're so much bigger, but
I guess just a different version, or yeah. So here, this is another part of level design, right here.
Yep, if you
or
wouldn't
here,
have
it's an R2.
If you wouldn't have came from that shortcut, you wouldn't have came up here to be able to cut the item down that we just, we'll get later when we go down that part of the
Here's
level.
another one right here.
Yep.
So yeah, an R1 is overhead, but I figured out R2 is how you just side strike. I gotta get a little closer here, but I gotta be careful not to fall off. Side strike here, and that'll drop that down to below where we can grab that item later. And speaking of memorable characters, out here...
Yep, there's one right here. And the cool thing, you can choose to befriend any character, or you could just start fighting them and take their stuff.
Yeah, obviously if you're coming up here, you're not really looking, you can just run at her, start attacking her, and she will defend herself, but she's one of the stronger characters in the game. So, there we go.
Oh. A hunter. What a mess you've been caught up in. Here. To welcome the new hunter.
So she is a hunter as well.
For the worst. There are no humans left. They're all still lingering. What's wrong? A hunter. No matter.
This is one of those video games where if you meet somebody who's played it or has even the smallest amount of knowledge of the Souls game in general, it's one of those games where it kind of just, you click with that person and you kind of have respect. and
Yeah,
acknowledge
definitely.
each other's.
There's just so much you can talk about for so long.
Exactly. I think that's another reason why we're both so passionate about video games is we have friends that we haven't even met in real life online that we're just literally friends because we both enjoy the same video game. It's crazy how it's just another aspect of hanging out. Like what I spend most of my free time at night before I go to bed is actually playing video games with Justice online, and it's pretty much like we're just hanging out in real life.
Yeah, it's definitely fun to just hold a conversation
and play some video games together, whether what it is, like
regardless of what the atmosphere, whatever. There's just so many different options.
Yeah, so we're excited to continue talking about other games we enjoy throughout the week for this project we're doing, and this was like the first one we chose because we both really like this game.
Yeah, this is just a big one, just one we want to be a memorable one, you know.
Yeah.
The first one we went with was just
very easy to talk about.
Yeah.
To do stuff.
Especially since we're just getting the hang of this. This is our very first ever
time ever doing this.
Yeah.
So overall, Justice, what would you rate this game out of 10? Just overall, everything we talk about, gameplay, graphics, soundtrack, the atmosphere, the theme and story, the characters, the challenge, which we haven't talked about. I'll get to that in a second. The controls, the entertainment value. What would you give it out of a 10? If you could.
I'd honestly say Bloodborne is one of those games that I just have to honestly admit that it's just one of the best ones that I've ever played. But there are rumors of a remaster coming with, like you said, this game is capped out at 30 frames per second. So due to like just the age and its structure and everything, I'm going to have to say maybe 7.5, 8, I'm thinking, but I'm definitely, like, when that remaster comes out, I believe that remaster will be a solid 10.
I was going to say a 7, no, 10, yeah. No, I definitely would give this an 8.5 or a 9. I don't think there really ever will be a game that is a 10 just because there's always going to be something better because of how fast technology advances, but in my heart this is a 10. Like, just love everything about this game. Realistic without being biased, I'd say it's an 8.5 because I gotta remember there's not everybody in the world likes what I like, so
yeah,
like not everyone's gonna like the atmosphere of the game, but yeah, I'd say it's an 8.5 overall. Very hard game if you're just getting into it, but definitely worth it if you can push through the initial challenge of learning how to play.
Yeah, definitely. And so what I'm pausing here for actually is this item right here, Madman's Knowledge. In the top right, you can see that as we've been going through and just killing things, we've been getting a bigger and bigger number there on that top line. Those are our blood echoes, which are basically...
Top right, by the way.
Yeah, top right. What did I say?
Just top line.
Oh,
sorry.
No, yeah, the top line out of the top two in the top right. Those are the blood echoes. Those are the currency in this game. You can use them to level up, buy things, lots of other just things to spend those on. But as you can see, the 0 is in front of that eyeball right there. That is our insight that I mentioned earlier about the doll. And the Madman's Knowledge I just picked up, actually, we can go into our inventory here. You don't lose them when you die, so there's no use to keep it in there. That'll turn it into a 1. We now have 1 insight, and you also get an insight from seeing the first boss. So if you go to the first boss and lose to it, then you'll go back to the Hunter's Dream with 1 insight and actually be able to see the doll level up. That's how they intend for you to do it, but we actually know that Madman's Knowledge is there, and we're able to skip that.
Yeah.
Here is the little girl we mentioned earlier in the level. As you can see, the shortcut we just opened goes back out to this courtyard, the fountain. There was the giant over there.
For easy access now. So if we wanted to get where we just were, we wouldn't have to go around and fight all those people, because when you do die or when you do go back to the hub, the Hunter's Dream, all the enemies will respawn.
Yeah.
Even if you kill them.
Every single one in the entire level. So that's why every time you go through... Yeah, bosses die forever. This is the little girl, the memorable character we mentioned earlier. So let's look.
Who are you? I don't know your voice, but I know that smell. Are you a hunter? Daddy never came back from the hunt, and she went to find him. But now she's gone too. I'm all alone and scared.
So we say that we're going to find this girl's mother.
Really? Oh, my mum was a red jeweled bride. It's so big. Oh, if you find my mum.
So yeah, and now we get a music box, and we know to look out for a red jeweled brooch. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that, but we know what we're looking for.
Now that we're wrapping up kind of our mini review of Bloodborne, do you want to go ahead and do the boss and show them what?
That's where I'm heading right now.
Okay, so
I'm with the one insight I have. I'm heading back to the Hunter's Dream. I'm gonna spend all of these souls that I have now, get as strong as I can, and then I'm gonna head off to the boss.
Okay, and then we'll see if Justice can beat the boss or if he will fail. But that's where we're gonna end the video either way. So we will just take you on the journey during that. The challenge and reward is another aspect of a game, just like that I think of when I think of like different things that make games play differently or be better than the other. I would say Bloodborne is very good for the challenge and reward that you get, because the least amount of times that you die, the better. Like basically when you die, you drop all of your money in one spot, and then if you can get back to that spot and get your money and retrieve it before you die again, you'll get it all back. But if you die before you go get your money back, it's gone forever. So the challenge and reward is very crazy, because if you're good and you can always get back to where you died before you die again, you'll never actually lose any money. But if you get stuck on somewhere, can't get back there, die, you lose everything. So it's really a crazy challenge and reward actually, because it just varies on how good of a player you are. You can totally lose all of your souls and just not be able to level up and become as strong as you would want. So now we're talking to the doll, who is now a human.
And is letting us level up at her, yeah. So as he just explained, since I didn't die once, we have 6 levels in us right here. And what I'm going to do with those levels is I'm going to put, I'm thinking 3 of them. I'm going to get that to 15, and then I'll just put 2 into Vitality to make us even stronger here. And Endurance is the green bar up in the top left there. As you can see, when I roll around and when I, when I definitely attack, it uses up your endurance and it recharges. The higher that endurance level is, since we just put it up to 15, that bar is bigger. Same with the vitality in the red line. So we got pretty strong here. We're going to go back to Central Yarnum, which was that shortcut area that we just teleported here from. So I should touch on the little girl that we talked to, since we said she was a memorable character, and then talked to her, and now we're looking for her mother, but didn't really explain that. Since we don't really understand that until the second boss, I'll just go ahead and explain it for you guys. Basically, that little girl's dad is part of the hunt and was like going out to do what we're doing right now, basically. But apparently the disease, the plague that we told you guys about, it has changed him and made him into a beast, the very beasts that we are slaying around the entire town here. But apparently what has been keeping him human was that music box that the little girl gave us. This music box here. A small music box received from a young Yarnum girl. Now, she has us looking for her mother, because her mother went out to go save her father, who turned back into the beast. And basically, the mother forgot that music box, and that music box is the whole thing that turns him back into a normal person. It helps him remember who he is, and so on. But when the mother confronted the father without the music box, she actually met quite a cruel fate and died to the hands of her husband. and now you can find... This is the first boss. And you can find that mother in her husband's boss arena, which is actually the second just over there, past that bridge right there.
So we're coming up to
This first bridge is the first boss.
If you were playing this the first time, you would just think, wow, a bridge. But since we played countless times before, we know that this is a boss fight. So we're about to go in there and trigger the boss fight and see if Justice can kill the boss or if he's gonna die. And then we'll recap, and then that'll be the end of the video. While Justice is fighting, I'm going to recap about things we said we liked about the game, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Cool, let's dive in there.
So right here, this is the fog wall, basically. As soon as you activate the boss, he's going to jump over here.
There he is.
That's the cleric beast.
And you'll see a lot of the frame rate drops. It'll get really choppy. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
And this is the fog wall here. It keeps you in here. You have to fight him as soon as you meet him.
So, things we liked about Bloodborne, again, just going to go over. We really liked the theme and the atmosphere. Love it in this game. The soundtrack, which you can hear right now, I'll pause so you can hear it. Very intense and just keeps you in the game. Graphics we enjoy. We really like the level design. Memorable characters. That's why I can love playing the game so much. I played it a lot, over 200 hours. And challenge and reward, very satisfying to win. Very satisfying when you finally beat that boss you've been struggling on. The controls feel really nice in the hands. Entertainment value, obviously that's so high. We both played this game so much that it's just off the charts. And the rating, I gave it an 8.5. You gave it a
7.5,
8. So that's good all around. And yeah, that's why we chose this as our first game to choose for the reason that you're so passionate about video games. It really stands out for me. I've got a soft spot for it in my heart.
Yeah, this was really the first ever game that we dove into and played through completely together.
I would say Dark Souls 3, but...
Oh yeah,
definitely one of them that we found over probably till the end of time. But yeah, video games have made our friendship grow and just evolve into something. We can basically hang out even when we're in the comfort of each of our own homes, especially through COVID and everything. It's really just helped us stay as close as we want to. It's so fun to play with people you wouldn't even really be friends with or have anything in common with outside of video games. You can really bond with people you wouldn't think you would be able to. So we're gonna finish off this boss right now. Justice did a great job. Didn't even take too many hits. So
there we go.
He is gone. Prey slaughtered. So that is the first boss and first area of Bloodborne. If we not turn around, sorry. I'm choking on my words, but we now have the second location, which we will show you right now, and then we'll end the video. So.
Yeah, you might have seen there that when I killed that boss, he gave me the Sword Hunter badge. The different badges that you get throughout the game change what you can buy from this little merchant bath right here. So, now that I got the Sword Hunter badge, I can buy this. I'm not sure if it'll let me equip it real quick.
It won't.
It won't, but yeah, basically this is just one of my favorite weapons in the whole game. It's a sword that you shove into that hilt right there, and you can turn this quick little tiny thin sword into a giant hammer. It's just one of the cooler things. Cool. Yeah.
And then the second thing in here is now open.
Yeah, the Great Bridge. So that's where we just beat that boss.
We can go straight there and then go on to the second area, then the second boss, and continue from there. Just keep going. The game is huge. Play this forever. It goes on forever, especially with the DLC. You can sink your time into this game. Very good customization on the characters. We made our character Colonel from KFC.
Oh yeah, Colonel Sanders.
Colonel Sanders, but yeah. great game. Thanks for listening to why we are so passionate about video games, especially Bloodborne. Yeah, that's going to be it. See you guys.
All right, well, we'll see you guys in the next one.